for, people that say cold calling is dead. It's not. And when you
It's
need,
not dead. It's just painful.
it is painful. It's very painful. And so that's how you get the immediate results. My networking now is paying off because I am further out. But honestly, my bigger sales still come from walking in and just learning about these businesses and just letting them do the talking. I don't have to, the nice thing is I don't have to say much. If you meet the right person in the right mindset, all I have to do is ask a couple questions and keep my mouth shut and listen.
Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Technology Podcast. Today's guest is Kristie, a business advisor at LegalPayments, who specializes in helping organizations simplify and scale their payment systems. Kristie, welcome to our podcast. It's an honor to have you here today.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate your time so much.
Yes, I appreciate yours too. Let us know your journey, like what got you to where you are right now and how you're helping other people.
Sure. This is not where I expected to be. I'll be honest. I worked in a corporate environment for 20 plus years. I thought that I always just wanted to work for somebody else, get a paycheck every other week, okay, benefits, and retire. And, that's how my parents lived. And I thought that was the right life for me as well. But life is funny. And when you start putting things out in the universe, they respond with their own sense of humor. And so about 2 years ago, I ended up getting a divorce. And then a month after my divorce was final, I lost my job and I was devastated. And so from there, I ended up finding another job pretty quickly. And then I lost my job again within 10 months. And I had gone from working for the same company for 16 plus years to losing my job twice in less than a year. And I was just really struggling, going through the job market. And those things are not great for your ego or self-esteem.
No.
And when I sat down and tried to figure out, okay, what's my next move, right? I'm starting all over again, which I never thought I would do at my age and as a mom of 3. And so I actually had met somebody who does payment processing, who's actually my partner now. And he's like, why don't you give this a go? You can work for yourself. You do whatever you want to do. And I said, are you crazy? No. And so, but the more and more I got into it, and I had to change a lot of things in my head, right? Like how I saw things, a lot of mindsets.
Yeah.
The more I realized I'm not selling payment processing. I'm not selling point of sale systems. I'm selling a relationship. I'm selling being part of a community of small business owners. And when I could look at it like that, my whole business changed, my outlook changed. And I realized at that point, I could never go back and work for somebody else again. And so that was really kind of my turning point. And so Regal's been around for 15 years. I've been doing this now for a year, and I have learned more in the last year than in the last, 20 plus years in corporate.
Powerful.
And yeah. And Lord is on the other side of fear. And I'm like, did somebody know I was driving down this road today? Because it just really resonated. I had been a product manager most of my career. So I work with developers. I work with the people behind the scenes. And that was always where I was really comfortable, was behind the scenes.
It's safe back there.
Very safe. Very safe. But it's limited too. And that's what I've learned.
That is so true, ma'am. A lot to unpack that. I have a very similar journey, so I really resonate with that a lot. Especially when you're brought up to go to a 9 to 5, and they pretty much, when you do that, everything is kind of laid out for you. Accountability, everything is just, you have to think about it. You go to work, you come home, it's simple. But now shifting to being your own boss, being an entrepreneur, people don't always understand it. There's a lot, like you were saying earlier, that mindset shift, where you're getting your mind right to understand what it is you're doing, not just being self-employed, but actually helping people. So no matter what product you're selling, you're actually building that community. I love that. It was so powerful. You're not selling, you're building and creating relationships. We can walk us through going from that mindset shift, maybe some of the highs and lows you went through.
Right. Um, thinking back over it, right? I remember, this is a business that, I'll be honest, there's a ton of bad players in this business, right?
Yeah, a lot.
And that breaks my heart, in all honesty. And so part of this kind of started when I had to let go of my title. I think when I was in corporate, I always lived through my title, right? Exactly. Like, and, people ask what you do and you're like, oh, I'm a senior product manager, or, I manage a team of blah, blah, blah. And that was like really tough for me. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, well, what do you do? And I'm like, I sell credit card processing. And that was kind of like in the beginning, like how, and so I made it icky for myself, and I really needed to like find my calling. And so when I was living in that mindset, like I wasn't very successful. I know, and this is one of those, I cold call. I, walk in. I never actually picked
Mhm.
up the phone. I walk in
I like that.
and, and there's always like people that will just look at you like, we see you people all the time. And, and so like, how
Ouch.
do you,
Oh,
yeah,
you
oh
people.
yeah.
Ouch.
How do you differentiate yourself when somebody starts off the conversation like that and just, shuts you down? The first few times I had to cold call, I sat in my car for an hour to talk myself into going into one business.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's the worst feeling. And, you build up this conversation in your head and you've already had the complete conversation before any of it's even taken place.
You lost the fight already.
Yeah. And so that's a really, and I probably spent 2 or 3 months like that. So here I am, I'm 100% commission. I don't have a base. I don't have a paycheck coming in. My success is rewarded by my actions. And, I'm all in, right? I don't have a safety net. And so when I cashed in a 401k. And this is all through fear, right? I'm like, as long as I had like these little cushions or nest eggs.
Ooh, that's hitting home too hard right now, girl.
Yeah. And you know, I looked at all of that and I did that all to myself. And so, and I had those were all things that I had to learn. And one of my very first sales, it started off that way. It was a cold call. I walked in and he gave me the you people speech. He's like, you guys come in here all the time. Nobody's beating the rate I have. But if you come back tomorrow, I'll give you my statement. I came back 4 times to get the statement. Every time I come in, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't have time. I didn't have time. Come back tomorrow. And so you just keep going and going and going. And there's times when I'm like, I've been in there 4 times. I'm done. And, my mentor, he's like, but did they tell you no? I'm like, well, no, but he's not giving it to me. He's like, did they
He's
tell you?
getting to know you as you keep coming back. He's like, "Oh, I know you a little more, a little more."
Yeah. Yeah. And so with that, it just was funny because finally I got the statement, did the whole analysis on it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, I,
Yeah.
and I'm like doing the analysis, right? Because I can look at a statement and I'm like, I know what you're paying is too high. Or on the flip side, I'm very transparent, right? If what you are paying is very fair, I'm going to just say, you know what? Unless you want like local service or you're unhappy with the support you have, stay with who you have. I feel good about walking away from deals like that if I know that they are being
Yeah,
taken care of by somebody else. I did all my homework on this statement and basically at the end of the year, I was like, I can save you $4,000 and put in all new hardware for you, train you, and be local. And he said, no, it's not enough savings. Like, okay.
"What do you
And
want from me?"
yeah. And I said, well, now there's this thing, the dual processing, right? And surcharging where you're seeing merchants passing the fee back to their customer. And that's a whole other thing, right? Like basically
Yeah.
small businesses are tired of paying for people's travel points. You take out a new card, you spend $3,000 and you just got a trip to Paris, but that's on this, it's the small business owner that actually pays those
Ooh, I did not know
points.
that.
And so I said, well, this is the other option. We start to pass on the fee to your customers. And then your situation is completely different. I said, now you're going to save $60,000. That's what they were paying a year in processing.
Is that
And
legal?
oh yeah,
Jeez, processing.
it's insane. And so he said to me, nope, I'm not going to do that either. I will lose customers. As soon as I start charging them, I'm going to lose customers. And I said, all I can do is just present your options. I can't make you make a decision. You know your business, better than I do. And so I felt really defeated because he was so adamant, no, we're not doing this. And then, in Michigan, the laws started to change, right? Now, the business owner has to pay for paid time off and minimum wage increased. And so I would still check in on him his stuff going on. He said, I think it's time.
I'm
And I
ready.
said, is it time to pay? I said, is it time to say 4,000 or is it time to say, 60,000? And he's like, it's time to save the 60. And I said, all right. And so,
That pain was too strong for him.
yeah, yeah. And it's like I said, for me in my journey, I had to experience immense pain. Everybody else, it's finding that pain point.
It's true.
And so we went in, we made all these changes. I, check in on him. Even to this day, I still go in there. He's called me on a Sunday. He's like, Kristie, can you remind me what size paper I need for my terminal? And I was like, Dave, are you out of paper? And he's like, well, I might be. And I'll say, you know what? I'm 10 minutes from you. I have, my
Uh,
daughter with you, but I will see you in 10 minutes. And that's part of like the community of this. And then it was like, that's what I could embrace. And I loved that. And so I walked in, I got them time to get settled in and everything like that. And I walked back in to do a check-in. And the receptionist looks at me and she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, you're the credit card girl. We love you.
hey, girl.
I'm like, and so, I said, well, what's going on? And she said, hey, everybody's getting tipped better because we pre-programmed some tipping in there. And she's like, normally she has to do the, at the end of the night, she's, filling out tips and things like that. All that was, we automated everything. We saved them like 2 hours at the end of the night. Everybody's getting tipped better. The machines are always up. And I felt really good about that. And so, I ended up seeing the owner and I said, did you lose customers like you thought you would? And she said, you know what's funny? And it's a husband-wife team. She said, you know what's funny is that she's like, we did lose some customers. She goes, but it was the ones we wanted to leave anyway. She's like,
Ooh.
they were rude to our people. She's like, they were regulars, but they were rude. And she's like, we would cringe when they would come in the door. And she's like, the great thing is, she's like, they just went away on their own. And so I still go back to that story over and over and over again because it was such a turning point into, okay, what is it I'm really doing? I feel really good about what I've done for them. I saved them $60,000, right? And so now, they in the end have to raise their prices a little bit. Yeah, but not where it was like,
Significantly,
right,
yeah.
where it was detrimental to their customer base. So,
Dude, that's an amazing story. That really shows the power, not only what you're doing for them, but you had the mindset to understand, like, this is how I need to do this. You didn't quit. You weren't like, okay, this is not for me. You really embraced, like, you embraced, like, there's something that you didn't quite see, but you started understanding how it's not just you're selling credit cards, but you're really being that person they could turn to as a human being, building
mhm,
that relationship. Actually, that's what I've been trying to figure out for myself, and I'm kind of on that journey as well. Because at first I was like, oh, I'm selling services. But then as on my journey, I realized I'm helping people. I'm helping being their strategic business partner, helping them guide them through things, as being that person that they deserve and they need.
mhm.
Man, that's very powerful. That's a huge mindset shift. I wish we all could have. We all have to go through such pain sometimes to get there.
Right. And the worst part is that we cause our own pain.
Ain't that the truth? Woo!
Yeah.
Someone had to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and I've done, like I said, I could tell you so many stories. I said in the beginning, I said, you know what? I'm going to network my way through this.
Same.
I'm like, I'm going to make my own business just purely on networking. I'm going to join every chamber within a 15-mile radius of me, every any networking group I could find. And so it was to the point like there were times I would do 4 or 5 networking events in a day, and that's mentally exhausting. And but then
Yeah.
the problem is those you're planting seeds for 6 to 9 months for your name to really start circulating within the community.
Ooh,
I don't have, I didn't have 6 to 9 months to wait this out. And the immediate result, and for, people that say cold calling is dead, it's not. And when you
it's
need
not dead. It's just painful.
it is painful. It's very painful. And so, and that's how you get the immediate results. My goal is to not, my networking now is paying off because I am further out. But honestly, my bigger sales still come from walking in and just learning about these businesses, and just letting them do the talking. I don't have to, the nice thing is I don't have to say much. If you meet the right person in the right mindset, all I have to do is ask a couple questions and keep my mouth shut and listen.
Ooh, I love how you said that. Just listen.
Mhm.
So many of us, we want to sell our products. We're like just talking so much, but we talk ourselves right out of it.
Right. And
We just have to listen.
you are walking in on their day kind of unexpected. You don't have their attention for very long. And it is overwhelming to think like, hey, I'm asking for, their credit card financial statement, right?
Who
That's
are you?
exactly, right. And so, yeah, but it's really interesting to try to build rapport very quickly.
What are some tips you can kind of give us? Like, for example, I'm stuck there trying to figure out, well, should I go out and talk and do calling? Or should I just continue to send emails and show up the way I've been doing that hasn't been working? What are some tips and ways to help me want to build that mindset to get to that point and just going in there and having conversations?
Right. And I've tried, like I said, if there was an easy way out or I thought there could be, I've tried it. I've tried emailing people. And at the end of the day, and I've tried calling people and they just hang up. To be honest, like if you do your research, and that's something that I do. If I've got I kind of use two cold calling methods. Like sometimes I just find a couple of industrial areas or something like that, and I'll try to hit 40 doors in a go. I don't have to talk to 40 people. That 40 I might get to talk to like 3 or 4 decision makers. And then if I'm lucky, I might get 1 to 2 statements. But if I get a statement, it's like an 80% close rate. And so when I can look further down the line, right, it's so easy for people to ignore your email or a phone call because there's no personal interaction there. But you go in and just be respectful, and you get a good vibe when you walk in. Who's kind of willing to chat and who isn't, and just learning to read people. But for me, that's been the most immediate results. And so again, like you have to do the uncomfortable. And I always worried about, well, I'm interrupting their day. I
Same.
don't want to bug them. But the problem is I've got bills to pay. They're not paying my bills if I go in with that mentality like I'm bugging them. And so, and they don't, hey, at the end of the day, they don't care about my bills. So again, it's another mind shift.
That's that accountability too, right there.
And I have had to have accountability partners because and I know this about myself, I'm very good at filling my day with things that I think are important, but they're non-revenue generating.
No, just stop yelling at me right now. I don't like where this is going.
I know.
So true, though. You find every excuse or anything else you think is going to help get you money, but at the end of the day, if you're not selling, you're not making money. You don't have a business.
Right.
Have to make, and that's been like kind of my whole issue is changing my mindset around the selling aspect and understanding that I'm providing value. It'd be irresponsible of me to not go in there and say, how can I help your business?
Right. Right. And that's one of the things like I tell myself is I'm here to serve my community. I focus, while I can provide services anywhere in the United States, I really focus on my community. And I live here. My kids go to school here. I frequent, restaurants and things down on Main Street. And I can tell you this, when I worked in corporate, I didn't get it. I ate at the chain restaurants. I shopped at the big box stores, things like that. And I still do. I don't mean it like that. But when I started like hitting Main Street and learning my community, I realized what the value is of me spending money in my own community.
Ooh,
And I would have never gotten that vision, that side of things, staying in, where I was. And that means a lot to me, right? One of my kids,
I love that.
I stopped in at a place and we got talking. And it turns out our kids were in the same class last year. And not even in my community, right? They were a couple towns over and we just got talking and she's like, "Where do you live?" Anyway, and so she's like, we just made the connection like, hey, our kids go to school together. They're actually in the same class. And I love that. And now I provide their point of sale system. They've referred me out to other people. And that feels really good. That means I know what I'm doing is right.
Damn, I feel like you're talking to me still, you know? 'Cause I feel that so much that like I understand that, but I haven't really been doing it well or really understand how to do it. Kind of still scared like to go out into my community and start talking with people. Like I'm still kind of behind the technology still a little bit, you know? Like I used to be here and now I'm here, but I need to get to here. It's still scary. It's like I can fix the computer, I'm good. I have to talk to you to figure out what's wrong with it. And then realizing that the community around me will actually support me the more I go out there.
The other thing too, so I joined like my local chamber of commerce and, one of the, that's been a really easy way to introduce myself as well. I can go around to businesses and just say, "Hey, I'm with the chamber. I'd love to hear more about your business." And then they go into their thing. And then the nice part about it is at the end of the day, they'll say, "Oh, well, what do you do?" That's really easy.
Oh,
There's
that's
no
a good question.
yeah. There's no, what I mean? That all that is just connecting, right? You're all, you're both part of the same chamber.
They're building those human connections with each other.
And even if they don't, I love referring. I carry around a book in my purse with everybody's business card. It's like this thick. And, I might not be able to help you, but sometimes I'll look and I'll be like, "Wow, you got a big old hole in your wall. Are you going to get that fixed?" And they're like, "Yeah, I've been dying to, but I don't know who to call." And that's exactly, I pull out my book and they're like, and I go, "Okay, you got to call this guy." And, and then they'll always say, "Who else you got in there?" And so I love that. Like I can help my fellow business owners. These are all people I know and trust. And then they just become part of a bigger network.
Love that.
And like I said, it's not always about me. As much as I'd like it to be, but it's not, right? And so
It's a
it's
hard pill to swallow sometimes.
yeah,
It's really hard to get out of that mindset. Like, it's about me. I'm not doing that. Like, it can be very hard being in that place.
it is. But if I can help somebody else, that goes a long way. And it does. Everything comes back around one way or another.
And let me ask you this now, because I see it on your face, but I want to kind of make sure. So from when you're in your 9 to 5, compared to what you're doing right now, helping your community and building your business, have you seen like your joy and happiness in your life change? Like what's kind of changed? What kind of came with that also?
Yeah, I am much more fulfilled. I realize now that I've had separation, right, from my, my first go at life. I do call this, this is my next phase here. I was not motivated. When I look back, I was miserable. And to be honest, I wasn't being a good employee either because I was doing just enough to get by. That's what I started to learn. But I had had some things. I had been with this company for a long time. I had 3 kids during my time there, and my priorities started to shift. When I had started there, I was getting promoted every 2 years. I love that. And then because again, it goes back to that title thing, that promotion. But then when that stopped, again, I won't make a big deal. I don't know if it's because I had kids or not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But all of that stopped. I wasn't going anywhere anymore. I was really stuck. And that's why I left that company and I ended up going into automotive and I kind of got excited again, right? But then I was honestly having a really hard time. Obviously I'd had some things going on in my life, but again, I really struggled with focus, with purpose. And I kind of look at this as this all happened for me and not to me.
Ooh, yes.
And there's this, I think it's from like The Alchemist, if you've ever read The Alchemist, but
I've
they
heard of
talk
it.
the journey, and maybe that the journey isn't about becoming something, it's undoing what, I'd have to find the exact quote, but it's
Yeah, well, you are but you're not becoming, but you just need to open up what's already inside you, what you know to be right.
right. And kind of like the undoing of what is expected of you and fulfilling that true path. And so those are all kind of things that like I out and I live by. But during this time too, I was also diagnosed with ADHD. Yeah. I know. So that was eye-opening too, because I think once I knew why I was struggling like I was, and I could get some help for that, I think being so structured in a 9 to 5, because I
Not
was
for
just,
us.
yeah, it isn't. And now coming out of that and getting the support that I needed for that, I've learned a lot about, how to manage it, how to time block, how to prioritize.
It's a
And I'm,
superpower.
it is, and I
You have
am
such a huge capacity be
right.
having ADD. We don't realize that.
Yeah, and I was missing things, like, I mean, I was super forgetful and things like that, but and I was, like, really ashamed of it too. I'm like, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I, complete these simple tasks? Why does this email that should take me 5 minutes take me 2 hours?" And once I could kind of get an understanding of that and learn to embrace it as a superpower, and again, focus on, okay, I do my best work between 6 a.m. and 3:30. After 3:30,
Now,
I've shifted my life. So now I prioritize after 3:30. I know I'm not going to be, doing any kind of rocket science or, physics or anything like that, but I can make dinner. I don't have to think that hard about that. Or, um, I can go for a walk or I can do things like that. So I've shifted my day. That's been a big, like, it's really fulfilling, right? And if I need to go do something for my kids, I can. I'm now the Girl Scout mom. I wouldn't have been able to do that, and even like I volunteer through the chambers, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. I love being able to give back to the community and give, and have my kids be involved. I miss so many things when I was, working 9 to 5.
God, it's so true, and I love that how you said that because so many of us get stuck there, and how your life changed so much when you took the risk to go work for yourself, and with the ADD, you also realize that high capacity you have. And those like 9 to 5s and working on that specific schedule, doing what you're told, we're not meant for that. A lot of us, but we do it anyway. We're so miserable and it destroys us on the inside a lot. A lot of us never get out of it, but I'm trying to help people with this podcast to help them get out of it. The story
Mhm.
you told was so powerful. And I relate to that. I'm sure so many other people relate too. Now, I still work for my 9 to 5. I like it. I don't like it. It's love, hate. Like I'm working on removing myself before I lose my shit, literally. But that's another story. But I haven't taken that big, huge leap or risk just yet. But I'm trying to get my mind there first.
Right. And, it's funny, I do work with like a business coach. I was able to get grant to have business coaching and things like that. And so I'm in a cohort and it's great. So I'm with, 6 other small business owners. All of us are at various stages. And, there's a woman in there and she's still working her 9 to 5. They don't know that she's gone and started something else. And but the problem is she's in the same boat, right? Until she can get out and prospect, her business won't grow.
Yeah.
And she's like, but I'm so scared because I have this job and I'm very comfortable, even though it's killing me. But she's like, I don't want to fail. And so she refuses to kind of give up her 9 to 5 to pursue this business that
I feel
she's,
that.
yeah. And so because she's so afraid to fail, and I get it. I think for me, I was forced to fail to figure all of this out.
That day might come because they know that I'm doing other stuff. They know
Hmm.
I have this podcast. I'm just waiting for that phone call to come one day. Justin, choose one. But
Right.
that may be
But
my push, you know?
yeah, and sometimes you don't get to make the choice. Sometimes the choice is made for you.
Yeah, very
And I
true.
think, like, for me, that's kind of what happened. I really think if I hadn't been in that situation,
It'd still be there.
um, I would have gone right back into corporate, and I was interviewing again. I would go through 4 or 5 interviews, and so I know I'm down to the last 2, and then I wouldn't get it, and I'm like, "What's going on?" I worked for the same company for 16 years, and so that was just really soul crushing, and now I'm not letting somebody else make decisions for my happiness.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go out and figure it out.
I crushed the old you so that you could build and create the new you.
Right.
And I actually started understanding this more, that the universe starts speaking to you. But if you're not accepting it and listening, then you're going to ignore it and just be more and more miserable. Like it's
Right.
been speaking to me and I'm listening, but a little slower pace than I would like. I'm like, oh, hi, okay, cool. Let me just dip my foot over here a little bit. Okay, hi, what's up? Like, sometimes you gotta take the full risk.
You do. And I do think, like, when you go all in, the universe will support you. Right?
What was I thinking? What took so long? But
I know.
feel that, man. It's rough, but I feel like for myself, I feel like I'm on a good path. But eventually it's gonna come up. I'm gonna have to step up to the plate. And
Mhm.
also, like, you have a business coach. I have a few business coaches also. And I'm working on building my sales skill and ability to talk and communicate. Being on the autism spectrum, it makes it a little bit harder for me, but I know I can learn it and get there. It's gonna take a little longer, but I'm fine with that. But some of us, it takes a while.
Right, and that was another thing that I learned, was that I was so worried about being perfect, like, perfect with, my sales pitch, and perfect with, all of that, and then when you do that, you're wasting time. I've learned more just by going out there, and do I say a lot of dumb stuff? Oh, yeah, I do.
Dumb things until it gets to the point where it doesn't sound so dumb and it starts creating that impact and the
Mhm.
sales and the connections you want.
Right, right. So, but it's all just, again,
Weird. You have to do the thing to get the thing.
yeah, yeah, and nobody's gonna do it for you, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's like a lot of us who want it, but don't understand the work that is involved going into it. Like when I got into entrepreneurship, I didn't understand about holding myself accountable and how the work I have to put in. But like you said earlier, at the same time, this is the most I've ever learned in my entire fucking life, about business, about more there's out there besides the 9 to 5 misery. Then no one teaches us any of these things in school or nowhere. But when you become an entrepreneur, all of a sudden the whole world opens up. And there's just so much more that you know and that you can learn and understand. It's crazy.
It does.
Like,
And
what?
yeah, and and I look at, like, just the people that I've met on my journey that I never would have met, and we all have these incredible stories. There it A lot of people, what I've learned is a lot of people are really ashamed to talk about how they got to where they are. I was like that. I mean, like I said, getting fired, not my best moment. And I was really ashamed. And so, but when you start talking about things and you put yourself out there and you're really vulnerable, I'm always shocked at the people that want to step forward and just support you however they can, whether it be, I think I know somebody that might be able to help you. I'm so grateful for my community that I've built. People that just come and do what they need to do. I do the same for my community. And you would never find that in a corporate setting.
Not at all. Like we're all looking for it, but it's
Right.
not there.
It is not there. And it's funny, like I said, payment processors, there's a lot of people out there.
I forgot you're a payment processor already. Wait, but did she love again?
Right, I know. It's funny because, like I said, there's a lot of people that, like, this is my full-time thing, so I don't sell off my portfolio, I manage everything, but what I'm getting at is because there are so many that come into this and leave quickly, and it's really a strange thing. I don't look at like, I'm not in competition with any other processor out there.
Abundance out there.
And I'll get people that will hit me up on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, what kind of contract are you in?" Things like that. And, and so I made I learned very early, I won't even call it a mistake. I learned very early on though. I sat down with somebody and, he's like, "I'm in the next town over from you. I can see that you've been doing, a lot of this." And he goes, "I don't want to be in competition with you. So I thought maybe we could work together. Maybe you come work for me." And I'm like, I'm not in competition with anybody. Like,
Ooh,
it was such a turnoff because I don't need 4,000 accounts to survive, right? I need to take care of, you know, X amount of accounts and just take care of them. If I'm taking care of them, they don't leave. And so it's not a competition. And the second you do that, like it was such a turnoff.
different energy and vibe. I
Yeah.
used to get that from a lot of other MSPs or in the cybersecurity space like me. I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you have a podcast? Oh, well, we're in the same space. I can't talk to you." I'm like, "Why can't you? We service different people in different areas. There's an abundance of people that need help." But then you clearly realize that's not the kind of person I want to work with or have on my podcast. That
Right.
energy is very negative.
Right. But when we all lift each other up,
Yeah. Why can't we help support that? That's kind of why I got into doing this too, because like in cyber, for example, and I'm sure in your space, people are not, they forget that they're human beings helping other human beings who have human being businesses,
mhm,
supporting their families, trying to run through their lives and just live and be prosperous.
right.
We just need to help each other more like the community coming together. Why is
Mhm.
that? We've forgotten what that means. All of our houses now are so separated. You walk down the street, a lot of people like don't want to talk to you, try and talk to them, like, what are you gonna do to me? What are you gonna say to me? We're just in these little weird silos now. And it's crazy where we
Right.
came, where we are now.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, like I said, it's where I'm at right now, excuse me, is it's human connection, right? I look at I if I can, make your business a little more profitable so that you can maybe give bonuses to your employees or you can afford to fix your, signage outside. That's a big deal. And I feel good about that. So, and at the end of but it took me so much time to value that, right? Again, it's that mind shift into why I'm doing, finding my why.
That's what we try and create that kind of space here on this podcast in our community. Just why are you doing it? What value can you bring to people? And just be a fucking human being. So many of us are like the real artificial intelligent robots walking around, just numb and zombified. Stop and say hi to someone. Be human.
Yeah. And that's like even like with my kids, like I can see what, the COVID years did. I can see
Mm,
what all of these electronics have done. I am big on eye contact, right? And I look, I'm big on a handshake, things like that. And I'm trying to teach my kids that, when somebody talks to you, because to me, that's going to go a long way in business, in life. Make eye
ooh.
contact.
I try and get people to hug me. It's like, wait, what? I'm like, just come here. They're like,
I'm a
okay. Then they're like, oh, okay. I'm like,
Yeah,
I told you, buddy. I told you.
yeah. Oh, I'm a huge hugger, and so
Give me a
yeah,
hand. I'm like, sucker.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's, at the end of the day, I think if we, just value our communities, take care of, the people that take care of us, it goes a long way. And
Really
then,
does.
hey, then I always have great stories too, right?
Right? I enjoyed your stories on today. They were amazing.
Yeah,
Stories are what we have to connect with people. A great story really provides a lot of value and connection, and it's just amazing what it can do.
yeah, yeah.
And finding a moment, I've got something in my eye. Kristie, it's been wonderful having you on here today. Absolutely amazing. I'd love to have you back on here too.
Anytime, hey, this has been wonderful, and it's funny, me meeting you was through networking through Andrea Brown,
Yes, I
and
have her on here. She was one of my
yeah.
first ones. A little rough for me.
And you know what the last thing when I told her that we were gonna get together, right? She said, "You're gonna have a lot of fun." She's like, "He is so cool." She's like, more. She's like, don't even think about it. She goes, you guys are
I
just like,
freak out more than anyone.
you hide it well. You hide it well. So hey, this has been a great way to spend my afternoon. And
Oh yeah.
I appreciate you and the people
Appreciate
that
you too.
you work with and that follow you.
Thank
You're
you
doing
very
something
much.
right, and
I'm
I
trying.
appreciate it.
It's gotta keep showing up. It can be hard sometimes, but that's kind of what my limiting beliefs I'm working on. Just kind of keep showing up, just keep doing it. Sometimes you want to go and lay on the couch, and just cry, but you gotta show up.
Gotta show up. Gotta show up. Well, anytime you need a hug, you know where to find me. I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. You also want to leave the audience with any ways that they can reach out to you if they would like to work with you or just kind of talk with you. Where can they reach you?
Absolutely. I'm very big on education. So even just I love to just, pick people's brains, have them pick mine. And so you can find me on LinkedIn. My email is just Kristie, Kristie at LegalPayments.com. I am happy to talk to anybody about anything, even if it's just motivation or it doesn't even have to be about credit cards. I'm a talker. So, but yeah, absolutely. I encourage people to reach out. I'm happy to work with anybody.
I love that. I always consider myself the emotional support IT guy. Everyone wants to talk to me about usually things more than just IT stuff, and I'm always fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So hey, you never know what you're going to find. You start kind of like starts as IT and you start peeling back the onion and then
Yeah, right?
so
Exactly. People will get comfortable, they start talking to you. Oh, by the way, there's this going on. You may not have ever have known or found out by
I
just having a nice, warm conversation.
human connection. Who would have thought?
Right? And speaking of, I got one last question for you before we go here.
All right,
What
let's
does
hear
it
it.
mean to you to be a human being? 30 seconds on the clock.
Ooh, that's a tough one. No, honestly, making mistakes, laughing at yourself, getting back up, moving forward, and just loving, your kids, your people, your tribe. To me, that's being human. And I think we forget that at the end of the day, it's not about titles, it's not about money. It's just getting back up, learning, improving, moving forward.
Very beautifully and well said.
And maybe a glass of wine too.
I'll cheers with my water to that. Right. Well, thank you so much, Kristie. We'll enjoy you spending your Saturday with us.
This has been great. Thank you, Justin. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
Thank you. You take care of yourself.
Yes, I will.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.